So welcome everyone. Welcome to those old faithfuls who we have every week, and to our new spring shedders, some of who are listening live and some of who will be listening to the recording. So it's lovely to have you here. And if you have a chance, if you're able to be at your computer and you can check in and just put a few words of how you're feeling today, then it's lovely, because it's lovely to have more than just my voice in the room. And it was great to hear Mandy's feedback on having a bit of coffee withdrawal on the spring shed, because we all will go through different things. And it's not to say you can't have coffee, but if you choose to then have it, then just have it mindfully and really pause and do it in sort of celebration. And Nix is going to share an coffee recipe with us today. So welcome. And we're heading into our new moon on it's the 14th or 15th. So it's like the night of the 14th, early morning of the 15th, which is just around the corner, after two supermoons, which have been like giant spotlights, really illuminating what's going wrong and what's going right in our lives. And it's been a month of huge intensity, because to have two supermoons within a 30-day period, which is what we had because we had a blue moon, is really intense. And so for many, August has been a very tough and an intense month. And as we head into this new moon at the end of the week, the world is darker, the stars are brighter, but it's also a time for us to turn a little bit more inwards and to ground ourselves and to pause. Thanks, Ellen. 3:39 a.m. on Friday morning. And it's the start of a new lunar month. So it's a good time to start things. The biodynamic farmers plant at the new moon. It's a great time to bring something fresh and new into our lives. So this is why it's so actually aligned to the timing of our spring shed, because we're bringing new ideas, new routines into our lives. And we are actually really supported by the stars, because this is the time for it. And many of us are exhausted because I see and Gina's saying she's feeling exhausted because it's been such an intense time. But really, I encourage you then to take this time over the new moon, not to do an extra few emails in the evening, not to push yourselves, but rather to use that time to have an Epsom salts bath, to go to bed a bit earlier and even just read in bed, to do things that will nourish you. Go for a walk in the morning or move your body like we've been talking about in the shed. Because it is a time to focus more on ourselves, and it's a new moon in Virgo. So many of you know I'm kind of new to astrology. I've grown up in a very Christian background, and I no longer see a conflict between astrology and Christianity, because I believe that God created the stars and the skies and the constellations. So it's not all an accident. And it's amazing to see that when the new moon is in Virgo, it aligns with our daily routines, responsibilities, and employment. So again, we are literally supported by the stars at this time to make changes in our routines. And I went to a talk last night, actually, by Naomi Holt, who I just saw that Mandy had been talking with her as well at the St. Peter's conference. And she's just released this book, Bounce, How to Raise Resilient Kids and Teens. And it was just fairly short, but it was excellent. And I thought there was so much value in it. And she talks about really belonging, and it's how it's so important for us to feel community connection, that we belong. And she was talking about how teachers can create this in their classroom situations, and how we can create it in our families. And her second point was eye contact, pausing to connect. So she said this, she was talking about parents to children, because the very message when we pause to connect, to look someone in the eye, we're saying you're worthy, you're important, you matter, you belong. I see you. That's Sawubona, I see you. And she said how her 2-year-old daughter, at 2 years old, was trying to tell her something, and she was busy doing something, and she kept saying, I'm listening, I'm listening. And eventually her daughter said, Mummy, look at me with your eyes. And it really struck me, because how often do we look at ourselves with our eyes? How often do we pause to connect to ourselves? And when we are so dismissive of ourselves, and the language that we use about ourselves can be so critical and dismissive and frustrated, we're giving ourselves that very message that you're unworthy, you're not important, you don't matter, you don't belong. And so if we can't give this to ourselves, then who can? Because she's saying our children will see themselves as we see them, as they are, as reflected in our eyes. And so it's the same for ourselves. And so on our spring shed, we're becoming more conscious and aware of ourselves, what we're putting in and on our bodies and in and on our minds. And just like children, when we don't actually give ourselves the attention, when we don't pause to see ourselves, to acknowledge ourselves, we'll start to act up. Our bodies will start to act up. We'll start to play out. We all know that. We know that when we don't give children the attention they're wanting, they'll act out in ways that are not necessarily healthy and not necessarily helpful, but they'll act out to get our attention. And I firmly believe our bodies are doing the same. So Pam Gregory talks about, as we've said before, learning to be masters of our own energy and our own frequency. And we don't want to talk about the dark stuff, because then we keep recreating it and feeding it. And we can make conscious choices about how we speak and what we focus on that will impact the collective. And so in this time of September, whether you're doing the shed or not, I really encourage you, with the new beginnings, to choose the language that you use with yourself and about yourself, and to choose what you're going to focus on in your bodies, whether it's your frustration, your heaviness, your critical stuff, or whether it's you're going to look for the pauses, the lightness, and this is what we're going to help with. And one of the main ways we can do this is by dropping into our heart and connecting with watching our breath and altering our heart rate variability so that it becomes more coherent. Because I mean, it just can change our body state almost immediately, our blood viscosity, our biomarkers, our body coherence. And so our body just works so much better. And the podcast I'll be sharing later in this week on the shed with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about how he does this in his retreats, which they see incredible healings happening there. So we have to really see and feel ourselves healed and lighter, and what we want to create in our lives before it's actually here. And I actually didn't realize that I'd done this poem so recently, this Julia Fehrenbacher, Breathe Yourself New. But when I was going back through my notes, I did. So this might be familiar to some of you, but I just thought it's so worth it and so aligned to what we're going on. And so Julia Fehrenbacher printed out, she has an ebook that's free or very easy to buy online. She Will Not Be Quiet. And she's got another one too. I'll type her name in the chat just now. But her introduction to this, I'm going to read to you. And so I just encourage you just to relax and listen to this before we start our meditation. Dear you, let's begin with a deep breath. The kind of breath that makes your belly rise big and full and soft and open. The kind of breath that reaches all the way down to your pinky toes, all the way up to the very tip of your tired head. Let your shoulders drop. Let your gaze be soft. Maybe even close your eyes for a breath or two. Notice the sounds around you, the smells, the pulse of blood in your hands, the quiet beat of your heart. You are here. You are alive. Isn't it a miracle? Just for this moment, can you set it all down? Can you allow yourself to scoot in close, to fully be? My hope for this little collection of poetry is that each poem serve as a reminder to pause, to look up and around, to look deeply and closely, to listen to birdsong in the middle of the day, to drink a glass of water slowly, just because. To rest for as long as you need to every single day, put self-love at the very top of your to-do list. Because forgetting to take care of yourself is no longer an option. Because this hurting world does not need another hard, hurried, harried, busy, sick, tired, empty, overworked, overwhelmed, scrambling for worthiness human being. This world needs you rested and full and open and healthy and soft and receptive, and overflowing with the realist, truest version of yourself. This hurting world needs you to pause in the midst of all the noise, in the midst of all that needs to be done, or seems to need to be done, and breathe yourself into stillness, even when it's not convenient. This hurting world needs you to quiet the noise inside your mind and look and listen deeply to whatever or whomever is right in front of you, your beautifully flawed human self included, with care and kindness and the deepest kind of compassion. One thing I know with certainty is that everything ripples outward from the love you give or don't give to yourself. What you give to yourself is ultimately what you will give to others. We're all connected and woven together like the most amazing, intricate, complicated, beautiful, colorful tapestry. We are all deeply connected. What you do for you, you do for every single being you come close to. My hope is that the words on these pages remind you that you are more, so much more than your body or the thoughts in your busy mind, more than your aging skin, your busyness, your titles or roles, your money or lack of in your bank account, your accomplishments, your perceived flaws or failings. You are not the noise, but the space between the noise. May these poems inspire you to take time each day to nurture and nourish your beautiful self, to breathe your way beyond the noise into the now, into the fullness of your most authentic, organic, truest self, so you can be one of the ones who heals rather than hurts. I truly believe everything depends on it. So we want to be the ones who heal rather than hurt, and we can only do this if we do the work of healing ourselves. So as we set down that introduction and we enter just this time of our mindfulness meditation, I invite you just to allow those words to sink in and perhaps to commit to this month of healing more than hurting, and really to be conscious. I tell this to our daughter Philippa, who's 17, and her friends quite often, to be conscious of the energy that we are creating in our body. And because we take that energy into a room with us, the contraction or the light, the hurt or the healing, the closing down or the smiling, these girls are so self-conscious, they think it's all about them and they don't realize it's what we can give to others. So choosing to bring our lightness and light of being. So I invite you to take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, to allow your attention to drift down into your body. Noticing your feet on the floor. If you're sitting in a chair, perhaps you want to uncross your legs and just reach your feet firmly on the ground. If you're sitting on a cushion or chair, just noticing the points of contact between your body and the cushion and chair and the floor beneath you. And then reaching up with your shoulders, your neck, your head towards the sky so that you sit with an upright dignity, bringing your full attention and wakefulness to this moment so that we can sit both easeful and alert. And just noticing the breath as it enters the body. And noticing it as it leaves the body. Allowing these words to land on the surface of your skin. Breathe yourself new. Maybe today is the day to tip it all upside down, to shake out what is stale and small and suffocatingly too sure. Maybe today, rather than being tossed about by enough will never be enough expectations, rather than grabbing for another word, another way, another now, you could step outside and watch sky make a new day. Maybe today is the day to let go of doubt's smothering hand, to stop hunting for worthiness, to choose to follow only what feels like tail-wagging enthusiasm, like fireflies warm, sure glow, like love sprouting roots from the bottom of bare feet. Maybe today is the day to remember that if it doesn't grow the flame warmer, truer, brighter, if it doesn't feel like a deep diving breath into all that is here and now, it is not meant for you. Then lean close in to your glorious glow and breathe yourself new. So with each breath this morning, we breathe ourselves new. Following each breath with curious attention, as if it's the first time you've actually really paused to notice your breath. Following each breath as you can, from your nostrils to the back of your throat, down into your chest, maybe even to your belly. And then following it back out again. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. Just in this moment, valuing this breath, acknowledging the power of this moment, of this breath. Pausing this just to see this breath, to acknowledge it. Knowing that because we have breath, there's more right with us than wrong with us. And if you notice that your thoughts are wandering, just notice where they've gone to and gently guiding them back like you would a child or a puppy. Just guiding them back without recrimination, but just back to the noticing of your breath. Bringing your attention just to your heart space now, to your breath there. Maybe even imagining that you are breathing directly in and out of your heart space, as if there was a funnel directly into your heart. In this moment, inviting a feeling of gratitude into your body for this breath and for this body. However imperfect it may feel, inviting a gratitude for all that it does for you, for all the ways in which it serves you and looks after you. For all the things it can do, not the things it can't do. And feeling into this gratitude as if it's got a color, a sensation, a texture, a lightness. however that may feel to you this morning. And just connecting with this feeling of gratitude for your body. And if there are parts that need to be healed, parts that you want to have healed or released, to sense into gratitude and to bring a vision of your body as if it is already healed, as if it is already done. Feeling this deep gratitude and holding this image of yourself, of your body, of how you wish to feel, as if it's already here. Connecting deeply with a sense of gratitude. If your thoughts wander, just bringing them back to gratitude for the healing and wholeness of your body. Noticing the rhythm of your breath, the rhythm of your heartbeat, and realizing that your body is supporting you profoundly. It's not letting you down. It's there for you. Feeling into the life force energy that lies within this heart space, within each breath, and allowing it to permeate through your body. Life force energy and gratitude moving out from your heart space, through the arteries, the arterioles, being pumped into every corner of your body, every fine capillary, the ones behind your eyes, the ones at the tips of your fingers, tips of your tongue, tips of your toes, reaching into every internal organ, allowing this feeling of light and gratitude to spread through your body. Perhaps your attention will drift to certain parts of your body, and that's okay. Let them rest there and invite this feeling of light and gratitude to it. And then move on until your whole body feels like it is alive with this gratitude, with this life force energy. Perhaps there's a tingling, a buzzing that touches the surface of your skin, perhaps radiates beyond. Noticing the freshness, the newness of this moment. Maybe today is the day to tip it all upside down, to shake out what is stale and small and suffocatingly too sure. Maybe today, rather than being tossed about by enough will never be enough expectations, rather than grabbing for another word, another way, another now, you could step outside and watch sky make a new day. Maybe today is the day to let go of doubt's smothering hand, to stop hunting for worthiness, to choose to follow only what feels like tail-wagging enthusiasm. Like fireflies' warm sure glow, like love sprouting roots from the bottom of bare feet. Maybe today is the day to remember that if it doesn't grow the flame warmer, truer, brighter, if it doesn't feel like a deep diving breath into all that is here and now, it is not meant for you. Then lean close in to your glorious glow and breathe yourself new. So feeling in, leaning close to our glorious glow. Breathing ourselves new in this moment. And knowing that this is always here for us to come back to. Any time in the day we can just pause, take a few breaths, perhaps rest our hands on our heart and invite a feeling of gratitude, no matter what is going on. We have breath and we have life. Know that the more often we can tap into this glow, this gratitude, this life force energy, the more powerful and healed our body will become, and the more we can influence the world around us. So I thank you for joining me today, because when we do this together, we create something that is more powerful, way beyond ourselves. When we sit and we do our heart coherence together, we create a tsunami of joy, a connection, love, healing. So thank you for being part of this with me. I wish you a blessed day and hope to see you next week. Namaste. Please feel free to unmute or put anything in the chat. It's lovely to hear your voices. Thank you, Mandy. We'll be here next week. I'm also doing my mindful drop at 8 o'clock for just a short check-in on turmeric and Meta Power for those who can make it, and I'll also record it. This recording will be posted to my website if you want to share it with anyone that you feel might need it. If you're in the Spring Shed and you enjoyed it, then please do comment on the group, because although we want to keep some of the traffic to a minimal, it's also your comments will encourage other people to take the time to pause and to listen or to do this. So, and also if any of you have any questions about the shed, you're welcome to unmute and just to ask me questions now. So thank you for all these comments. It makes my heart warm. Thank you.
Nikki,
yes.
Can I comment a little bit about the new moon?
I'd love to. Yeah, thank you.
So the new moon is on Friday morning, and the new moon actually is for new beginnings, as you said, sowing seeds. But in fact, it's the start of 3 cycles. The one is from the new moon to the full moon, which is the harvest moon, when we harvest what we want and get rid of the shapes that we don't want. The second one is the cycle of this new moon to the next new moon, which is in a month's time. But the final one is this new moon in Virgo actually finishes a cycle in 6 months' time when the full moon is in Virgo and the sun is in Pisces. So you can actually set like short, medium, and long-term goals with this one as well. So I always think it's quite profound.
That's a lovely.
Thank you.
Beautiful,
beautiful session today. Well done. It was lovely. Thanks, Nix.
Ellen, thanks for joining. Thank you. And that's good to hear that to have a deeper insight into it. One sees again how connected everything is and how supported we are by nature and the stars and everything around us. So thank you, Ellen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. You're welcome.
Thanks, love.
Drop off or to comment. Thanks, Mum.
Yeah, it was very, very good. Well done. And I think it's also, I'm just having a quick looky. I think it's Rosh Hashanah as well.
Oh,
in this time. But I'm just
and that's something.
It starts 16th. So Rosh Hashanah actually
with the new moon. So that new cycle. Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, yeah. And then
Yeah.
it's all the Jewish holidays, and Yom Kippur's on Monday, there's and
Yeah.
Sukkot.
Such
And
a
so,
powerful time of the year, and
yeah,
for fresh starts and
so
new
it's
beginnings. So
good. Thank
pointed
you,
that out.
and I will see you just now.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Oh,
Bye, everyone.
bye. Bye. Thanks, Cheryl. Yeah. And that's what we're wanting to create. Cheryl says, I can almost feel like my heart space is vibrating. And that's what we wanted to create, because that's actually where the healing comes from. This is all now so much backed by research that Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, there's so much coming out about this, and this is the power of our bodies. And so this is what we wanted to tap into more and more. So when I share that podcast, I really encourage you to listen, get past the first 5 or 10 minutes, and just, I mean, especially at the end, I just really resonated. It's really encouraging for us to tap into this as often as we can. Thank you, everyone. If there are any questions, please shout, and otherwise I'm going to end the session and see those who can make it in 15 minutes. Well, no, yes, 15 minutes. Same link.